Hello, welcome Kate Welch to another segment of Random Character Generator.
Yay! This is us.
Yes.
The cheering in the studio is one thing that I really do miss. That Ryan Mars yeah,
Yeah.
woo!
Woo.
Got to provide that on our own
Shelly and I have
dime.
been trying to recreate it as best we can, and I'm happy you were here for it. And we're like, you're awesome, Kate. You're so
Extremely here for
cool.
it.
I want to be like Kate when I grow up.
Oh,
Oh, that's
thanks.
so
Oh, is
nice.
that Greg Tito's daughter saying
That's what they said. Yeah, they're in the background, clapping all over the place. But this is the segment where we just applaud each other, and that's it. That's all we do. No,
Yep.
we make up a random character on D&D Beyond,
Yes.
third level.
We hit that randomize button.
And we don't know what it's going to be like, but we like to devise a character backstory based on all the random choices that the electronic AIs put together, and I can't wait. So let us get to it, and I think
Give
I
me
can
that.
actually do this.
Give me the link.
I actually gotta do it. I need to click some buttons here.
All right, I'll vamp.
Yeah, vamp for you.
Hey, what's the deal with face masks fogging up your glasses? What is
Dude,
this? San
that happens
Francisco?
a lot.
You don't wear glasses?
But when I wear sunglasses, it happens.
Oh man, the idea of you wearing sunglasses and a mask, that's too cool for school.
Oh
That's
man,
that's a Mr. Cool Guy right there.
it's a move I do way too often, and then I'm like, I can't see, so then I like bumble around into things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
You know, one thing I do like about this particular moment in time is how anything goes. I saw a wonderful video just now that my friend Tristan sent me, which was that like the right before the drum solo in the air tonight. And he goes, "The stranger to you and me," and she goes, she falls face down the stairs. And I was like, yes, this is the content BS that I'm here for. Ooh, all right. Oh, look at me.
I know. I just switched off, but I'll get you the link. And
oh no, I'm looking at. I am currently on Twitch. I am you. Oh,
yes,
they fixed it.
I
was you and also half of myself, which matches up.
I appreciated the vamping. I appreciated the vamping because I'm still like, oh no, I gotta do this. But we'll make it happen.
Is that you messing up? Nice work.
It's
bro.
me. I'm trying to do this while hosting at the same time, and it is
dude, you're doing it
easy.
Live. This is good.
I know, right? All right, I'm just gonna drop it in the chat so you can see it.
All right.
And then it also
Sounds
people
good.
are seeing that right now, and then I'm gonna work on getting your frames working.
Oh yeah, get those frames working. All right, while you do that, I'm gonna read to them what we've got. The randomization, but oh yeah, all right. Oh, this is
I know, it's already good.
this is really bad. Okay, so let me introduce you guys. We set the scene. What do we got here? We've got imagine, if you will, a hut in the midst of a bog, like from far as the eye can see is just scrubby grass and the occasional puddle. And there are these little, let's say round huts every so often that sort of boil up out of the shrubbery. And from one of these huts emerges, the door opens, a cloud of incense smoke comes pouring out. And with bones and wood pieces around her neck, rattling in the wind, she comes out, she lifts her head, she sniffs. And yes, that's right. It's Nethwure. Nethwure.
Yeah.
Nethwure. A lizard folk druid covered head to toe in the bones and the dried newts and the leaves. And she has come out this morning early, that the fog from Greg Tito's sunglasses hasn't even yet evaporated off of the vast tundra around her.
Whoosh. All right. I'm feeling Nethwure now from all of that description. Thank you.
Excellent. You're welcome. Boy, howdy, she's proficient in a lot of weapons, though. Look at that.
Yes.
Okay, so she can wield she's got the following proficiencies: club, dagger, dart, javelin, mace, quarterstaff, scimitar, sickle, sling, and spear. That might just be druids, in
It
which
is
case
just druids.
druids are super OP. That's a lot of weapon proficiencies.
Well, they,
She's
usually does like simple or what's the other word? Warfare. The martial weapons. Maybe that's a fourth edition thing, but
Did you say that's a 12th edition thing?
12th edition. We're working on 12th edition right now. We're like Microsoft, where we just like double it, cut it in half and double it. But Nethwire, look at those stats. Nothing too good.
Nothing great going on here. She's got -1 dexterity. So
Yeah.
maybe how does that figure into a lizard folk are pretty gangly usually
Right.
and more dexterous. So maybe she's got, oh, she's old, she has arthritis. She's an old druid.
Oh.
She's charismatic. She's got her she doesn't have any specializations in charisma, which is fine. So she's just sort of generally charismatic.
People like her.
She can be persuasive if the moment calls for it. She can be intimidating. She can be charming. She can be deceptive. But nothing. She's not super great at any of those. Just sort of equally good at them across the board.
Yeah. That's so great. She's
right.
got druid features and traits. What's her circle? Circle spells. I'm not seeing what her class features are. Let's go to that.
Yeah.
Druid circle is circle of the land with mountain as the land type for Nethwire. Okay. So it's a swamp in the mountains. How did that happen?
Well, I'm so glad that you asked. As it happens, these mountains, they have sort of an area. Usually mountains, we think of them as spiky. But these mountains have sort of a large area of plateau. So, for instance, I'm thinking of the Alaskan tundra.
Oh, okay.
Technically, way up in the mountains, very high elevation. But when you're in the tundra, the tree growth trees don't grow past a certain altitude. So you can see the altitude line, and beyond that, it's just scrubby grass, rivers, ravines, a lot of grizzly bears. She's in a sort of a mountain swamp.
All right.
Mountain swamp sort of thing. It's Dungeons and Dragons.
It's a thing. I like that because there is this contrast between, being moist a lot while also being in something that's very cold, usually in higher elevation. So, maybe that's why her arthritis is so bad.
Oh, maybe so. And it's probably also not great. Maybe it could be arthritis. Maybe she's not even that old, but she has arthritis because the lizard folk is cold-blooded. And so as a result, like she just doesn't have a lot of energy. I assume lizard folk are cold-blooded.
It's D&D. Sure. We can just say
D&D. That. So she doesn't have a lot of energy to move. So she tends to conserve her energy and not bust out with a lot of acrobatics.
Right. She's a sage, though. That her background is sage.
Okay. All right. Let's see.
So she's got the feature researcher, which means she can kind of recall a piece of lore much more easily.
Yeah, she's also got hunter's lore, so it means proficiency with perception and nature are the ones that she has. So she's a book nerd, right? She's the learned one. She might not even be someone who you would think would be learned. She speaks a lot of languages. She's got common, draconic, druidic, halfling, and undercommon. So I'm guessing, although she's only 3rd level, Nethwure has been on a lot of adventures already. Maybe this is like retirement for her. Maybe she used to be an adventurer, but then she took an arrow in the knee and has decided to become a sort of a little a mountain swamp druid in this tundra as a part of her retirement.
Does her connection to that land mean that she's a current resident of that land? Like maybe that could just be where her homeland was, and she's been taken away to, undercommon might mean that she's been in the Underdark for a long time and learned
Ooh,
that,
interesting.
or fell into a ravine and is somehow trying to get back to her mountain swamp.
Interesting. Okay, so she's not currently at home.
I mean,
The
she could
scene
be.
that the scene that I set for you is relevant. What if she it's unusual for lizard folk to be this far inland such that they would live in the mountains.
Mm,
So either they're a very specific strange class of lizard folk or they're hiding from something.
yeah.
I wonder if, since she speaks Undercommon and she does have some really interesting, like her lizard folk abilities are all about biting. She's got her bite as one of her melee attacks, and then also once per short rest as a bonus action, she can make a bite attack. If it hits, she gains one temporary HP from that Hungry Jaws feature. So that's pretty cool.
Hungry Jaws.
I'm wondering if she was kidnapped when she was young by a raiding party of drow,
Ooh, okay.
uh, because she speaks Undercommon. It seems like she would have spent some time in the Underdark. I wonder if it was like cockfighting or dog fighting. They would
Mm,
capture these lizard folk and use them to fight in arenas in the Underdark, and make bets. And it was also this whole gladiatorial sport. And so when she was young, she learned Undercommon because of that. And
okay.
she's got proficiency with all these weapons. So I know that's probably part of the druid class feature, but just storytelling. What
Yeah.
if, like, every time she was in a match, they gave her a different weapon to fight with, as because that's part of the meta of lizard folk fighting. And so she became proficient with all of these weapons in the fighting pits, including being unarmed. That advantage that she gets from the Hungry Jaws ability, being able to just bite her opponent and get one temporary HP. Like, there were times when she snatched victory just from a lucky bite. She was a champion in those fighting rings, but she
Awesome.
was a slave.
Right. And then she was trying to stay learned this whole time. Like she was a sage, so she needed to, like some of maybe her most prized possessions were the few amounts of, I don't want to say books, but what do you think? What do you think she would have read?
Well,
Scrolls or parchment or
scrolls, it's possible. Let's see, there could have been someone else in the fighting pits, either another slave that took care of her or another fighter
mm,
that had that was able to secret away scrolls, parchments, those kinds of things, and maybe taught her to write and read in Undercommon. I'm imagining like a little halfling fighter, because she also speaks halfling, right?
yeah,
So maybe this was something that the halfling companion of hers taught her in those fighting pits.
makes sense.
It makes
Um,
as much sense as anything.
for sure. No, I mean,
So she's got wild shape.
I was just gonna ask about that. Yeah, what do you think would be her
Oh man.
her? I mean, she's only third level, so she can't do uh, anything that has a flying speed or anything like that. So,
Right.
uh,
Max CR one quarter, one fourth.
right. So those are usually like wolves, small mammals. Uh,
I don't know.
or does she use it at all? Maybe she just knows that she can, but she's been taught not to do that. Or maybe that's the fighting technique is also one of the things that she falls back on.
Oh, sure. So this would be a creature that would have some kind of fighting ability. So a wolf is a good one. A bear, I don't have the monsters in front of me for the CR one fourth, but I know that most of the generic monsters at the back of the monster manual are the ones that you can kind of shape shift into at
Right.
one fourth. But yeah, I think something that would have aided her in the fighting pits would be the one that she would take. But I'm definitely open to suggestions on that.
I mean, I like the wolf as an example,
Okay,
because it
wolf it is.
feels like
Yeah.
the hungry jaws. Like I can really kind of envision, or maybe a dog, or like a German Shepherd type of creature, because of the ability of uh, just clamping down and biting. Feels like something that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Okay. How about a mastiff? That's only
Ooh,
challenge rating 1/8.
well there you go. Yeah.
But mastiffs are guard dogs, hunting dogs, war dogs. Small humanoids ride them as mounts.
Mm-hmm.
So think about this. A small humanoid is a halfling, right?
Oh.
So maybe that was part of their appeal in the fighting pits was that they would fight as a duo, and that Nethwure would transform wild shape into a mastiff. Her halfling companion would jump on, and then they would ride around the ring as a duo and fight that way. She was
Ooh.
fearless, her those hungry jaws. She was a natural in those
Yeah.
fighting pits.
And I like the idea of her pairing up with a halfling because that's such a strange, strange circumstances make strange bedfellows or whatever the phrase is, right?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. But
That common phrase.
the common phrase. The halfling would have taught her halfling how to speak halfling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been a pretty easy way to communicate secretly, so that the drow guards would not be able to understand them. So that's how they communicated. How do you
Okay.
think how do you think she escaped?
Yeah, that's what I was just trying to think of. And so I have this image of her changing into a dog and having her halfling companion, ride out, somehow
Yeah.
from the Underdark and make their way, almost out of the abyss adventure style, like, clawing and surviving. She's got the ability as part of the cunning artisan thing to create a shield and club and javelins and darts and things that she can use as weapons when they can't find the actual weapon. So,
So Light Rhea in the chat says maybe you get freedom for winning enough.
well, that doesn't sound very
So
drow like, but
it doesn't sound very drow like, but maybe what happened was you don't get freedom. You don't get it like handed to you. You fight until you have the chance to escape, and they give you a head start before they start to chase you, right?
that sounds drow like.
That sounds like a drow thing. So
Yeah.
you get an hour, and if you can figure your way out or hide well enough that drow raiding parties who have lived there their whole lives cannot find you, then you are worthy of escape. And
Yeah.
once you reach the surface, then you're fine. But I think she would have had to have somebody on the inside, like a Dritz type character,
Or maybe some flumps.
or maybe some plumps.
Flumps in the Underdark.
Flumps to the
They
rescue!
save everybody down there. It's great.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
and I like, she's not like super super charismatic, but it is her highest stat. So I like that she was a bit of a showman with the fighting pits, and so maybe she was popular amongst the drow, even though they might have not been the best
Yes.
masters. And so they wanted to give her this fighting chance a couple of times, and maybe sometimes they're like, all right, well, you didn't make it, and then on the third time, she and her halfling companion finally did, evade capture, and have been
Yes.
working their way trying to get back to her home.
Yeah, I think so. Do you think that her halfling companion is still with her? Or is this like something that she's looking for or trying to avenge? Or I like the idea that the halfling couldn't keep up at some point, and that the
Mm,
drow caught the halfling, and the halfling told Nethwure, like, get out of here.
okay, yeah, I like that too. That creates a lot of drama and tension and
Yeah,
guilt in her character, perhaps, or
exactly.
perhaps not. Who knows?
No,
Um,
I think she does feel guilty. We don't
yeah.
have an alignment on
No,
her.
the alignment never gets picked as part of
That's
the
right.
the
I always
random
forget
thing.
that.
I do too, because I'm always like, well, what? How, so we can assign whatever alignment we want. What do you think? Based on what we've been talking about, what do you think it would be?
Um, well, I think that she has a great deal of regret, but also fear of going back. It hasn't been that long since her final escape was a success, but her halfling companion is still trapped in the Underdark.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Nethwure just kept running and running and running until she got to this swamp, and she finally felt like they weren't chasing her anymore. They'd been chasing her for so many years that it wasn't until she was like as far away from the Underdark as she could manage that she was able to like stop and take a breath and hit level 3. and and now I think she is gathering the resources to be able to go back and rescue the halfling that essentially saved her life.
Yeah.
You know, more than once, literally in the arena, but also in that final escape.
I love that because that ties in with the sage feature of researcher. You know,
Yeah.
once you pick the sage, you know, there's 8 specialties that you can pick, and researcher was the one that was chosen for this. And so, you know, the characters in the party, if anybody wants to use Nethwure, might meet her, say, at a candle keep or a library. After she's had these in adventures, and she's currently researching how to get back to the Underdark to save her companion. Now, we keep saying companion. Well, should we name this halfling friend of hers?
Yeah. Let's see. What's some good halfling names?
I mean, I don't know any halflings out there
Halfling
yet.
names, they're just named like hobbits, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
let's see. Halfling
Proud feet.
names. Proud feet. What about
I know. I put you on the spot as far as coming up with names.
Corhorn?
I mean, winner.
Corhorn.
Corhorn.
Corhorn, the halfling,
Do you,
and Nethwure, the druid.
and Nethwure is a female. I think we've kind of established that kind of quickly. What is Corhorn?
Yeah.
Is Corhorn?
Corhorn is I just used a male halfling name generator. So I think Corhorn's a guy. I think he's a male, and that he lost someone that Nethwure is very unlikely as someone to be adopted by halflings, but halflings are very adoptive. They do tend to bring people into their families and be warm and inviting. So I think that Corhorn, maybe in the raid that the drow conducted on his village, he lost someone dear to him too. And so when Nethwure came in as this young lizardfolk druid, and she was putting up such a fierce fight in the pits, but she, you know, was clearly out of her element, and he couldn't help but take pity on her and shared what little he had been able to acquire and smuggle. He's been down there for years, but until she came along, he didn't have the sense of performance, the sense of charisma.
Mm-hmm.
And it was their fighting duo with her as a mastiff and him riding, because it's like I remember there was a scene like this in the Game of Thrones books where Tyrion is in a fighting pit and he's riding on pigs.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be like, oh, look at this, you know, the imp on the pig, ha ha ha. So I tend to think, since drow are evil, they would also find entertainment in like a little halfling riding on a big dog. And so they were initially very charmed by it. They were like, ha ha, look at the spectacle of this. But eventually they found out that these two made a damn good fighting duo as well. And watching Nethwure turn from lizard folk to mastiff and back, she got really good at it. She was able to execute that at the right moments and tumble out of disaster and save Cornhorn. What was his name? Cornhorn. Save Cornhorn from disaster, from his own demise multiple times, and Cornhorn returned the favor as well.
Except for that last time, which is why she wants to be able to continue to save him.
Exactly.
Do you think there's any is there any romance, or are you thinking this is kind of a platonic respect?
I think that Corhorn has more of a paternal affection for her. And because she is the more I think about her, the younger she's getting. I think she's pretty young. She's pretty naive. Barely more than a hatchling, as they would say in lizard folk culture. And Corhorn is a little bit older, and so he's taken her under his wing as a little halfling daddy. So he sacrificed himself because he's like, I've lived a good life. I got to, I mean, not a great life, obviously. He's a slave in the fighting pits of the Underdark, but he's like, I've had my chance at this world. Get on, girl, get on out of here. And though she did, because she was terrified and didn't want to be there, she knows that her destiny is going to take her back there to rescue him.
Cool. We didn't talk about her spells at all. At wills are control flames, poison spray, resistance. For some reason, she doesn't
Yeah.
know any first level spells. I think that was just a glitch in the matrix here. But
Yeah, probably.
the spider climb sounds
Spider
interesting to
climb's
me.
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah. Spider climb is probably how she escaped.
right.
Spider climb helped her get out. Yeah, and spike growth too. Like she was able to transform the ground. The transformation of the ground is camouflage to look natural. So she was able to make to hide from drow raiding parties, because one of the things that I like to think canonically is that the drow, they're underground, they're around, their city, whether it's Menzo Berenstain or whatever. They know the stalactites and the stalagmites
Mm,
like someone would know the trees of the forest and the stones and the formations of mountains. That's
right.
those are their natural landmarks. So she was able to confuse them and throw them off by creating spikes, using spike growth to create new stalactites and stalagmites, and so that they would get lost, and then at the same time use spider
Oh,
climb to evade them if they got close by climbing up the walls and on the ceilings.
excellent. And because her halfling companion might not have been able to spider climb, maybe that's how she got away,
Yeah.
leaving him. And oh, I like all this.
Oof.
All right,
Oof.
so what do you think Nethwure sounds like? How do you think you would
Hmm.
portray her voice?
I think lizard folk. I would go with a raspy kind of this voice,
Ooh,
which I think is why that it's possible, at least in the salt marsh context, people tend to mistrust the lizard folk because they sound sinister because of that snakiness.
yeah.
But I think she's got a little bit of a lilt, but when she says her s's, they sound like this, and her voice is kind of quiet. She doesn't talk a lot. She tends to do more with her actions, especially being a solitary creature now in her
Yeah.
little druid hut. I think she reads more than she talks by a huge margin. But when she talks, it's soft, and it has that snake quality.
I am going to find Cockmere. No, what's his name?
Cornhole.
Corn. Damn it. He's very good at that game where you throw beanbags onto
Oh,
a
super
board.
good at that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's why it's how he got his name.
He invented it. In halfling culture, he is the inventor of cornhole.
That's why he was such a valuable captive.
Yes, exactly. They're like, oh, finally, cornhole's back to teach us this
What, you're
game
the
again.
cornhole?
The cornhole. All right, awesome. So to recap, Nethwure is a lizard folk druid that her people lived on a swampy area, on a plateau in the mountains. When she was young, she fell into a cavern and was surprised by a drow raiding party and abducted, taken into the Underdark. She is a fighter, forced to fight. She befriended a halfling by the name of Cornhole. The two of them became a popular duo because of their high charisma, or maybe because of Nethwure's showmanship in all the things. So they were given extra privileges, one of which was to be released and then have the drow hunt them down. But on one of these parties, she used her spike growth to evade capture and use spider climb. That she recently went from level 2 to level 3, so she got these spells and escaped through her own courage up to the surface, leaving behind her companion. And now she is researching as much as she can about the Underdark and the Drow to organize an expedition to go and save her long lost father figure, halfling, the inventor of a popular game.
She has to save him because who knows what other games he could invent. It's of deep importance.
He could learn cribbage. They call him Cornhole Cribbage. Proud Feet is his family name.
Cornbridge.
That's awesome. I love this character, as I do
I love
all of
her.
these characters. So
She's
fun.
so cool.
Yeah. I am going to leave a. Actually, I guess I can do it in the Twitch chat before I sign off so you guys can see that. But then we often post these up with the episode when we go live, feel free to use this character. And as I was saying in the intro with Shelly, I'd love to see more folks tell me stories of using some of these as NPCs in your game if you are so inspired to do so. I think that's just a really, really fun thing. Awesome. Well, thanks, Kate.
Yeah, thank you, Greg.
For coming on. I love making up these fun characters together.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. It's my pleasure. It's my great honor. Thank you so much.
If people want to ask you questions about Nethwure and any of our characters, what's the best way to do that?
You can find me on Instagram at Kate Welch. I swear, I think that's too many H's. It's 4 H's. I've also been doing Twitch live streams, so you can follow me here on Twitch. Same name, Kate Welch 4 H's, and nice. We can chat. We can chat about Nethwure. We can chat about not Nethwure. Fine by me. What about you, Greg? Where can the nice folks find you?
I'm at Greg Tito on the Twitters and Greg_Tito on Instagram. And I look forward to hearing people create characters that invented mundane games in our world going forward. It's a very meta thing that makes me happy for some strange reason.
It's the little things that count right now.
It really is. It really is. Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with some more fun segments next week. We did it, Kate.
We did it.
We did it.
Oh, nice. Nice.
All right. I forgot to tell everybody when we were doing the actual recording, we are talking to someone really awesome next week for Dragon Talk. Noelle Stevenson, the showrunner of She-Ra, Princess of Power.
Shit, are you serious?
Yeah, and the 5th season just dropped today.
Wow.
I believe.
5th season?
I know. That's what I'm like. I'm still on season 1. I got to catch up. But yeah, no, I think it's the 5th and final season that she's running.
That's
is now
awesome.
live on
I'm
Netflix
so jealous.
right now.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
Yeah, and we've spoken to her wife Molly Ostertag, and as she had great stories. So I can't wait to hear from Noelle, and you can look for that interview next week at 1 p.m. on Friday. Sweet. All right. Binwin's Plays is up next.
Woohoo!
Watch all that fun stuff, and then Tales from the Mist is this evening, and I believe there is a Rivals of Waterdeep one-shot this weekend, as well as lots of fun stuff coming on twitch.tv/D&D forever. There's more and more content coming.
Try and stop us.
It's going to be a 24-hour block of nonstop UHF-like
Don't lie.
Programming.
Don't lie. Don't write checks your ass can't cash.
I know, right? I'm trying. When we were, I don't know if you even knew this, Kate, but when we were starting up this whole Twitch kind of thing for D&D, the code name was Wheel of Fish, because we were
Wheel of Fish.
Red Snapper.
Red Snapper, very tasty fish. That was a holy text in my household. My father and I watched UHF 100,000 times, I think, probably.
Nature's suction cups. Did you happen to
UHF, the Weird Al movie? Everyone, that's your homework for this weekend. Find it, watch it.
It holds up, even though it's about cable television and all that. But it's really, really good. I watched it last year. It's fantastic. But I want to ask you, as a Weird Al fan, did you see this week he released a video where it's some of the folks from Mr. Show as well as comedians singing lyrics from Eat It?
No!
In one of their mashup type of things. It made me so happy.
Oh my God. All right. We have to end this call so I can go watch that.
Go watch it. It's amazing.
I will.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. We shall be back next week with some even more fun stuff.
Bye.
Bye. Where is it?